Hello everyone, and a Merry Christmas to those watching in the winter of 2025. I don't usually do devlogs, for this week's were hit a little bit differently, and I wanted to end the year on a bit more of a personal note. It was a little bit emotional for me the last few weeks, honestly, so I wanted to get this one down for the books. Overall, there's been a huge amount of progress on the project and we're steaming ahead. There's a lot of features and the team size has increased thanks to a little bit of extra funding. One of the things that we're tackling at the moment is we're overhauling the entire UI to be controller native. We're using Unreal Engine's common UI and enhanced input framework, which is Epic's solution to managing multiple input types across multiple platforms. Compared to the current system, it's a massive undertaking. On Trello, I've broken this down into 3 stages. Stage 1 is 2D mockups from our artist using some marketplace asset packs to get the right vibe and tone. The second stage, which is actually painting this into Unreal Engine. And then the stage I'm currently tackling, which is the final stage, which is the actual technical plumbing and integration itself. To set the new system up whilst minimizing disruption and interference from the rest of the codebase, I've set up a greenfield test map that uses its own player controller. I've started with the most complex screen setup, the character menu, but that meant revisiting the skills window. On the surface, the skills window is really simple. It takes inspirations from games like RuneScape. It shows you all of your player skills that you can level up, and it'll show you some milestones, some achievements you can get to as you progress through your journey. This is the very first thing that I ever built in the engine, going back 10 years. Back then, I was a much less proficient developer. I didn't understand recursive functionality. I didn't understand data-driven design. I didn't understand event-driven architecture. For a lot of the features back then, to get them in, I muscled my way through them, using my forehead as a battering ram. The only way I knew how to. Looking back at that old code now, my first reaction is embarrassment, to be frank. It's an absolute mountain of spaghetti, where everything is hard-coded. Every widget, every level increment, and every icon is a static hard reference. Adding one new skill meant days of manual effort, quite literally, to make sure the alignment's right, the copy-paste is right, the text is right. This is the definition of technical debt. I think I remember this took me 2 months of manual work just to finish this one window. And even then I've had to revisit and tweak the values over time as I've had to go back and update some of the gameplay values. But I remember the passion I had when I made this. It didn't feel like work at all to me. It didn't feel inefficient. I felt like I was building my dream. You can see where I tried to revisit this actually on a skill by skill basis to update it to a bit more of a streamlined approach, but because of how large and complex this is, I think I only did a few skills and then I just gave up. So, 10 years later, and experience has taught me there's no correct way to do anything with any software development, only ways and approaches to distribute the effort. However, if we want to do something which isn't incorrect, then a new approach using data-driven architecture is definitely much more reasonable. The new UI is now a modular framework that reads directly from our gameplay assets, where the data is stored there for gameplay purposes. If we change a skill's stamina cost, or if we change an icon for an item, or indeed if we change some of the level milestones, the UI can update automatically. No more manual wires. Set up the framework and let the framework do the heavy lifting and the population. Getting a little bit technical, so we use something called an editor utility. And what this does is it scans all of our files and all of our data assets that has all of the definitions and the raw gameplay data itself. We extract that information into a master data table and format it so that the UI can simply and efficiently just ask for that table and ask for what it wants to know and what it needs, and then it can populate itself. We're also using something called soft object references. So that keeps the memory usage really low and prevents any frame hitches. You basically just pass a reference to say, hey, this thing is over there, load it when you can, and when you finish loading it, display it. 10 years ago, what would have taken me 2 months has now taken me maybe about 20 hours? 40 hours maybe for the whole character menu, including the inventory and the quest window. But this was quite emotional for me actually, flicking back to the old spaghetti code and then looking at the new system that I created made me realize how far I've come. This project is so much more to me than just a little hobby or a side hustle to try and make some money. It's my creative outlet. In the corporate world which I work in on a day-to-day basis, this kind of work is often dismissed as a waste of time unless it's hitting quarterly revenue targets. The idea of playing games, let alone making them, is seen as a bit childish. For any competent programmer, it's a well-known fact that you can often make significantly more money and probably enjoy a better work-life balance if you work in a much more lucrative industry like fintech or financial services. But I've only gotten this proficient, technically, because I've poured so much time and effort into it, and I've made the mistakes and learned from the mistakes. And I've only put in that time and made those mistakes and learned from those mistakes because I love doing this. Whilst I look back at my old code with disgust, quite frankly, the thought of deleting it really emotionally saddens me. It's the correct thing to do for the project. You don't want redundant assets and code floating around, but it feels more than just a technical means to an end for me. This feels like a piece of my heart that I poured out into this digital world. Building something for the sake of love and the experience, detached from greedy corporate overlords, I feel like that's my personal calling. It's the fuel that's kept this fire going for a decade now, which is a scary thing to say. I'll share something with you here. When I finished university, I was pretty lost with what to do with my life. I didn't know. I spent some time travelling, using the money that I'd saved tutoring maths, and on my travels, on the east coast of New Zealand, in this tiny town called Kaikoura, I shared this worry with someone who was really amazing. They said something that still sticks with me to this day. If money were no object, what would you do with your time? And I think that's a really powerful question to ask, because so much of what we do with our time is connected to money, either the cost of living, or the opportunity cost, or how much you could be making. And I think if I really think long and hard, and I really treat money as if it were no object, my answer? I'd still be right here. Nerdy, technically challenged, and building a world that I want to play in. And I'd love all of my friends to play in it with me. It might not be the logical answer, but it's my answer. Anyway, all of that deep philosophical rambling aside, here's the current state of the wireframe. The core pipes are connected for the character menu, and data's flowing well. Next up, tooltips. A Merry Christmas if you're watching this in the winter of 2025. I hope you have an amazing new year. 2025 has certainly thrown me a lot of curveballs, probably maybe you as well. Here's looking optimistically to what's in store for 2026. Hope to get a demo in your hands soon.